Are they trying to ice out Guerdy from Real Housewives of Miami? Let's talk about it, because I believe they are. So hit the like and subscribe button as the intro plays. All right, so this past Wednesday, which is a horrible time slot for Real Housewives of Miami, which I think is one of the best shows right now on Bravo, they were trying to ice out Guerdy. And I think they were using Julia to do the icing. And I believe it was a complete fail because Julia went on social media and explaining what happened and why she was acting so erratic with Guerdy. My beautiful souls, this season you've seen a different side of me, one even I've struggled to fully explain. The truth is, just before we began filming, something life-changing happened. I was given the chance to welcome two incredible boys into my life. It was a sudden, emotional, and felt deeply destined, but here's the part one saw. The adoptions weren't finalized, not yet. I was living in an emotional in-between, loving these boys fiercely while navigating legal uncertainty and keeping so much of it quiet. It was overwhelming, beautiful, yes, but also fragile, sacred, and stressful beyond words. Bitch, please. I ain't reading no more. But let's start here. The Real Housewives of Miami, again, I said it was one of the best shows, but they have the lowest ratings, everybody, the lowest. I don't even think they broke 300,000. And I think that's primarily because Bravo does not promote them well. And I recall Andy saying that if Bravo doesn't own the show and the production company owns the show, then they probably won't promote it as well, like, say, on Married to Medicine. When Married to Medicine was on that Friday time slot and it wasn't getting any promotion, and people were like, take it back to Sunday nights. And it was because Bravo wasn't promoting Married to Medicine like they do their prize shows such as Below Deck and even Real Housewives. But some of the Real Housewives aren't owned by Bravo, is my understanding. Don't quote me on this. However, let's just get to this. But though I believe that they are icing out Guerdy because it just seemed like some real dirty work being done through Julia.
And although my mind tells me that she's a messy, tacky bitch, my heart tells me she really doesn't mean any harm.
Now, Julia, in the past few seasons since she's been on, has been, I'm married to Martina. I have a farm and I have kids who are grown and I want another kid with Martina. And Martina was just there. And it seemed as though they brought Martina on as the lure, and Julia was using Martina as her meal ticket to be on Real Housewives of Miami, but nobody cares about Martina. Martina is a tennis player, a champion from the 80s. And she was never Miss Personality, so who cares if Martina is on Real Housewives of Miami? And then Martina gives nothing to Real Housewives of Miami. Unfortunately, Martina's had several bouts with the C word, but she's apparently healthy now, so it's a free-for-all on Martina. But Julia basically said on the first episode that Guerdy was using her for publicity to go on this boat ride. And then come to find out this past week, it was a boat ride with Captain Sandy.
That's whack.
She said Guerdy was using her to be near Captain Sandy. Last time I checked, Captain Sandy was nobody to be with. It's not like she's a Kardashian to, I want to be seen with Captain Sandy. Who says that? Nobody. But Julia, we're just going to cut through the meat of the episode. We're not going to go through every frame. Other people have done that already. But Julia, they sat down at Marisol's third or fourth wedding to the same guy. She supposedly made it official, and they went to the courthouse and came out and rode his motorcycle, and Alexia was trying to throw her a party. Can Alexia even afford a party, since, I guess she can afford it with Bravo checks, I guess. But so Alexia threw this party and Julia was acting really erratic, uncharacteristic. Like, oh, I want to be around Marisol. Oh, they're kissing. Why are you acting weird? You're making it weird, Julia. So then, Guerdy sits down and Kiki's there. Let me back it up. Kiki and Guerdy went to Stretch Lab, where I need to go. I really need to go to Stretch Lab. And I know somebody who owns 3, but I need to go to Stretch Lab. Anyhow, they were at Stretch Lab and Kiki told Guerdy that, the girls that think you're extra. And Guerdy's like, well, how am I extra? How am I extra? Okay, so Guerdy is kind of extra. Guerdy is kind of annoying, but I'm going to ride with Guerdy. I'm riding with Guerdy. You know why? But that's why I'm riding with Guerdy. But how dare you tell her to tone herself down because the girls think she's being extra? How about the girls the girls are extra. Alexia is the most extra. Alexia is the most delusional and thinks it's all about Alexia. Marisol, all she talks about is cocky. So she's not that extra. She just looks kind of extra. And Adriana, who's not the bad guy in this instance, but she's so extra, always bringing up drama. And Larsa is the most extra of everybody. And no, that's Lisa. Lisa's the most extra, the most delusional of everybody. So why is it all on Guerdy? So fast forward to Marisol's wedding party that Alexia is throwing for her. And of course, Larsa's making it all about what Jody did. What was that before that? Accusing Jody, implying that Jody was skiing on those slopes, if you know what I mean. They kept saying the AC in that episode, but implying that his pupils were big. But yet Larsa had no problem when her ex-man Marcus was caught. Like, she didn't have a problem because obviously that wasn't the first time when he was caught skiing on the slopes. So Larsa didn't have a problem with that, but now she has a problem with Jody and saying Jody is so controlling over Lisa, saying that Jody is basically trying to take over Lisa's business. About a year ago, Lisa had no business. Her business was just Lenny. Now, I do side-eye Jody because why are you all in her business? When they showed that clip, like, did you copy me on it? Because you had some errors. It's like, oh, maybe Larsa's on to something.
Baby, I'm only judging what you give me.
But, you can't believe Larsa because Larsa's going to exaggerate anything and say something nasty. But let's get on to why we're here. Are they icing out Guerdy? I believe they are. And I'm really disappointed that Kiki fed right into those microaggressions of saying, you're being too extra. You're being too much, Guerdy. Tone it down for the girls. No. Don't ever tell a woman or a black woman to dim her light. Don't tell her to dim her light, Kiki, just because you're out here desperate, trying to assimilate and be part of the crowd, get your mojito. And I thought she was getting her mojito this year, but obviously not. They said no. Although Kiki did show a scene with her mom. Her mom was just so giggly when they went to the ice cream factory with her daughter, and all her daughter wanted was chocolate. Kiki didn't want chocolate. Kiki wants to be vanilla. She's trying to blend in with these girls. But so this incident, they sit down and it's supposed to be all about Marisol. But of course, Kiki says, you and Guerdy, you and Julia need to talk. And Julia's like, I don't want to talk. And then Guerdy starts going in, basically saying, you lied on me. And Julia starts going off. Like, I didn't want to talk to you to begin with. I didn't want to talk to you. I wanted nothing to do with you. Because she missed a Zoom call that you didn't send the link to. You know how many people have to get a link resent to them when joining a Zoom or a Teams call, Julia?
Knock it off.
And you said your hands were full at the time. Well, and then you'll find out with the rest of the people. Julia, you're so suspect. And just the fact that you went on social media and tried to backpedal and give excuses for why you were acting so insane just shows your guilt. Yes, Guerdy can be extra, but so can you all. And shine your light. So Julia decides that she's going to throw water on Guerdy because she couldn't stand the heat. She couldn't use her words like Guerdy said. She couldn't use her words, and so she got mad and threw a drink on Guerdy.
Oh, hell no.
Now, last I checked, people were really like going in on Mia for throwing a drink. They were going in on Candace for throwing a butter knife. And, you know, that's frowned upon, but nobody came to Guerdy's defense. Nobody came to Guerdy's defense. So that says to me, they're trying to ice her out. They don't like her. And even on Watch What Happens Live, Larsa said, you know, some of us are better friends than others in the cast. We're better friends. And the fact that in the moment, Kiki told Larsa to get up and leave. I mean, it told Guerdy to, let's just go. Let's leave. No, I'm not leaving. Although I feel like Guerdy handled herself well in that moment because all hell would have broke loose had that water been thrown on me.
You put your hands on me. That's what you did. Bang, calm down. I will be up tonight. I will beat up my ass. I'm telling you now.
But I've never been in a situation like that, so I can't say what I would have done. But Guerdy, she turned it back instead of, you know, them trying to like, oh, you're aggressive, Guerdy, you're aggressive. She flipped it on Julia. You're a hyena. Go back to the farm, you hyena. And Julia owned it. I'm a hyena. I'm a hyena. But then Kiki left. Now, so at first I was really disappointed in Kiki, but I was thinking, did she leave because she was angry? Or did she leave because she's a yes man? You tell me, drop into the comments and let me know. Do you think they're icing out Guerdy? Was Kiki wrong for telling her to tone it down as a Haitian black woman? Haitian to Haitian? Drop it in the comments and like and subscribe.